I just read a remarkable article in American Greatness. This was written by Robert Curry. And he's talking about the roots of Trump's problems with the election last year. And his article is strikingly called Blame It on Richard Nixon. And I was first thinking, blame it on Nixon? Where's he going to go with this? Well, it turns out he goes to two very interesting places, Robert Curry does. First, he goes, in 1960, there was very good evidence that the election was stolen in favor of Kennedy and over Nixon. Stolen where? In two places, in Illinois and in Texas. In Illinois, essentially the Kennedy family was able to use the mafia and the Chicago machine, the Daily Machine, to rig the vote in Chicago. And Lyndon Johnson's corrupt operation was able to rig the vote in Texas. So the bottom line of it was that Nixon most likely won. So why didn't Nixon fight it? Well, it turns out he didn't fight it because he was too much of a gentleman. He didn't want to put the country through it. And so he essentially gave in. Now, Curry here makes a very telling point. He goes, this fake gentlemanliness, which is, by the way, almost a chronic malady of the Republican Party. Some years ago, Condoleezza Rice was invited to speak at a college. There was a little bit of an uproar. There's no way she's going to speak on this campus. And what does Condoleezza Rice do? She gracefully backs out. Oh, I don't want to speak on any campus where I'm not welcome. This kind of, really, I find it disgusting. Why? Because the simple truth of it is when you surrender like this, you make it impossible for any other conservative to speak on that campus. If you, Condoleezza Rice, are unacceptable, you who are in the mainstream of the Republican Party, if they won't have you, there will never be another person right of center who gets to that campus. And you have enabled it. That's the point that Curry is making with regard to Nixon, that by appealing to these lofty motives of healing the country, basically Nixon was saying, I'm okay with a crook having stolen the election from me. So Kennedy was the real crook. Thoroughly corrupt, by the way. But Nixon was, in a sense, someone who was an accessory to the corruption. Had he fought it, says Robert Curry, we might not be dealing with these voter integrity issues now. In a way, what Nixon did was he told the Democrats, it's okay to cheat at the national level. You can get away with it, even if there's evidence that will bust you. We are too nice a team to really want to bust you when it comes down to it. And let's remember, the Democrats historically are the party of voter fraud. I mean, this is the party of Tammany Hall. This is the party that was basically suppressing the black vote in the South in the early part of the 20th century. So the Democrats specialize in voter fraud. And the point is that Nixon made it okay for them. They saw that they could get away with it. And this emboldened them to want to try to keep doing it. The second point that Curry makes, I think, is also kind of striking, is he makes the point that when Nixon won the election subsequently in 1968, the Democrats immediately mobilized the deep state, the organs of government, including the FBI, to kind of get Nixon. Now, Nixon made it sort of easy to get him because he participated, or at least was aware of, Watergate. But the point here is that the FBI directly colluded with the media in order to expose Nixon and kind of bring him down. And the left's assumption from the beginning is, we hate this guy. He doesn't really belong in the White House. And so even though he was elected, and turns out really decisively in 1972 in a landslide, no, it's our job to get him on something and root him out. And we will use sources inside the government to collude with the media, and the combined force of the deep state and the media will achieve the desired result. Well, says Robert Curry, that happened again with Trump. When Trump was elected in 2016, big surprise. All right, let's mobilize the deep state, the FBI. Let's mobilize the media. Let's put the two together and see if we can impeach him. And if we can get him the first time, let's try to impeach him again. So the idea here that the left gets to sort of have veto power even over democratic elections and use the powers of the state where the powers of the ballot box are not enough. Both these precedents, says Robert Curry, trace back to Nixon, and therefore Nixon, although now in the grave, bears some grave, if I may use a pun, responsibility for some of the troubles that we as a country are going through now.